Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris Stryker Curtis, and I'd like to welcome you to the first anniversary of the Virtual Aerobatics Online Air Show with a truly one-of-a-kind and special performance. The following tribute you're about to see is for the pilot's pilot. He is described by Jimmy Doolittle as the greatest stick and rudder man who ever lived, while Brigadier General Chuck Yeager called him the greatest pilot I ever saw. He is a former United States Air Force test pilot, backup pilot to Chuck Yeager during the Bell X-1 program. A consummate Tennessee gentleman, he spent most of his life serving his country from the sky and blazing the trail for future generations of aviators, and is one of the founding fathers of aerobatics. He is R.A. Bob Hoover. Since purchasing an airplane ride when he was only 14, to his last performance over 6 decades later, he literally helped write the book to many of the aerobatics and airshow routines you see across the world today. Throughout his airshow and flying career, while inspiring millions upon millions of folks around the world, Bob Hoover flew an impressive lineup of military and civilian aircraft and wowed the crowds with his aerobatic routines. Just some of the aircraft were the F-86 Sabre, the F-100 Super Sabre, the North American Sabreliner, and today, over on the runway to show left, the North American P-51D Mustang. Flying today's tribute to Bob Hoover is Rick Ray Charles. Ray is a third-generation pilot, as his grandfather and uncles were barnstormers, air racers, airmail, and airline pilots. Ray's passion for aviation came early, as he took his first flight with his father in their Piper Super Cub at the age of 6, and by his 17th birthday he had soloed. Ray is currently an airline pilot flying the Embraer 145 for ExpressJet. He has been a flight simulator enthusiast for 19 years and is the number 3 right-wing position with the Virtual Thunderbirds. Mr. Hoover's legacy and his aerial demonstrations have inspired Rick throughout his entire career. To fly each flight more precisely, more smoothly than the last, to have confidence in the airplane, and always know the limits of himself and his aircraft. Moreover, Mr. Hoover has been an incredible ambassador to aviation, a role model to pilots around the world. Will continue to inspire future aviators for many generations to come. Now get those cameras ready and look to the left end of the runway, and listen to that unique sound as Ray advances the throttle of that Merlin engine. He'll then release the brakes, take off, and complete a full aileron roll. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mustang roll on takeoff. Bob Hoover, the man who originally brought this Mustang routine to life, was born in Nashville, Tennessee on January 24, 1922. At the age of 15 and sacking groceries at the local grocery store for 12.5 cents an hour, he paid for his flying lessons and learned to fly at Nashville's Berry Field. He then began to try his hand at rolls and loops and taught himself aerobatics. As World War II broke out, he enlisted in the Tennessee National Guard and later received orders to Army Pilot Training School. Now you've just seen the Mustang's roll on takeoff. This time, let's cut that roll into 4 pieces. Ladies and gentlemen, from show right, it's Hoover's Mustang and the 4-point roll. After the war, Mr. Hoover was assigned to flight test duty at Wright Field, and when Chuck Yeager was asked who he wanted to be on his flight crew for the new supersonic Bell X-1 program, he named Bob Hoover. Becoming Yeager's backup pilot, he flew chase in a Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star during the historic Mach 1 flight. Now, flash forward to the 50th anniversary of that day of flight, and there was Hoover again, flying chase for Yeager in an F-16 Fighting Falcon over Edwards Air Force Base, California. You've seen the 4-point now. I invite you to count along once again with Ray as he'll push the envelope even further with the 8-point roll. In 1950, Hoover would begin a 36-year association with North American Aviation and Rockwell International. He performed experimental flight test work on the Navy FJ-2 jet fighter, the F-86D Sabre, and the F-100 Super Sabre, where he demonstrated the safe handling and flying qualities to fighter pilots all over the world. But his master of aerial flight didn't stop there. In 1978, he set 3 climb-to-altitude records at Hanover Air Show in West Germany. And in 1985, he set a coast-to-coast record flying a P-51 from Daytona Beach, Florida to Los Angeles, California, and get this, folks, 5 hours and 20 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen the 4- and 8-point rolls. You think we should even do the 16-point roll? Well, let's see from Show Ride, as it's Ray, and yes, the 16-point roll. And ladies and gentlemen, from Show Left, a great opportunity to see why we call him the master of feathered edge flight, as he'll take this P-51 into a slow roll. During the roll, keep a close eye as he'll lose very minimum altitude, and furthermore, at the end, he'll enter into a cuminate. At only the age of 22, Hoover was already a decorated World War II fighter pilot, and famous both for his aerobatic abilities, including looping a bridge in Tunisia, and for surviving 17 equipment failure crash landings as a test pilot. While dogfighting the German Luftwaffe on Bob Hoover's 59th combat mission, his malfunctioning Mark V Spitfire was shot down by a Focke-Wulf 190 off the coast of southern France, and he was immediately taken prisoner. Captured, he spent a cruel 16 months in Stalag 1, repeatedly attempting escapes. His final effort brought forth freedom, as he made his way across the barbed wire fences and unbelievably commandeering a German Focke-Wulf 190, yes, the same type of aircraft that shot him down originally. Blasting out of the enemy revetment, he lifted off and flew at tree-top level before setting the aircraft down in a field in Holland and returning back to friendly territory. As Ray enters from the right, he'll perform an 8-point roll to the inverted position, and then finish upright and climb into the vertical once again for a loop. For those very few who haven't heard of Mr. Hoover, one of the things that he is also renowned for is his energy management maneuvers, shutting down both engines of his Rockwell Shrike Commander and performing a loop, 8-point roll, 180-degree turn to landing, then taxiing to show center and sometimes to his own parking spot without ever restarting the engines. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is energy management. A few years after starting that very routine, he also began carrying passengers during his performance, and was later known as Hoover's Heavers due to the number of people who became airsick during the maneuvers. And if that wasn't enough, Bob stepped it up once again with one hand on the controls, and another pouring a cup of tea from a thermos bottle, all while performing a continuous 1G slow barrel roll, demonstrating his amazing flying ability. Windbound to the left and diving to get some airspeed into the Hoover Gulch, dipping below the train into a barrel roll. He'll take it to a 45-degree angle away from the crown line, and into a cuminate with a rudder wag on the upline to wave to the crowd. Point roll will be on the downline to set the bait for the backstern. Mr. Hoover also served for many years as the official starter of the Limited Class race at the Reno Air Races, Nevada. The race planes, heavily modified World War II warbirds, would join up in line abreast formation off Hoover's yellow P-51 named Old Yeller. And when he had them in good order, you'd hear his famous radio call, "Gentlemen, you have a race." But he didn't stop there, as he'd pull up sharply into a vertical climb. Hoover would circle overhead during the race, acting as an airborne traffic controller, and in case of mishaps and coming to the aid of racers who had developed mechanical problems, coach them down to ground safety. Rolling out of that max turn, Ray will go into a half Cuban 8, and into a half 16-point roll to the upright, then back on the downline into a barnstormer loop. And of course, famed for flying his daring aerobatic routines in a business suit and straw hat, Mr. Hoover's flying career spans almost the entire history of American aviation. And to date, he has over 20,000 plus flight hours in over 300 different types of aircraft, and has performed at almost 3,000 air shows. Folks, that means he's flown before more people in more countries and in more aircraft than anyone in history. It's truly an honor to also say that Mr. Hoover is with us here in front of the crowd today, watching this demonstration. We stand and salute the master of the Feathered Edge flight. We salute you, Mr. Bob Hoover. Inbound from the right, it's Ray as he'll take the P-51 off center into a 4-point roll. Then he'll roll inverted with the wing waggle, waving to the crowd as he flies by. Robert A. Bob Hoover's final public performance was in April 2000 at Lakelands, Florida's Sun and Fun Fly-In with his famed North American Rockwell Shrike Commander. The former United States Air Force test and airshow pilot is the subject of a new documentary film in production titled The Bob Hoover Project, Flying the Feathered Edge by filmmaker Kim First. It will also be released very shortly. Now inbound from show left, get those cameras ready for the famous Tennessee Waltz, Bob Hoover style. Momentarily, you'll see Ray approach the runway. He will demonstrate the precise and stable handling characteristics of that P-51 as he showcases the one-wheeled landings. Bob Hoover's first P-51D can sometimes still be seen in the pits at the Reno Air Races. This aircraft was the base plane for the Unlimited class for many years, as it now owned and raced in the Unlimited class by John Bagley. Hoover flew this one until about 1970, when it was damaged on the ground by an oxygen bottle explosion. At that point, Rockwell bought another one that became the Old Yeller, which he flew until the 1990s. Think the Tennessee Waltz is over? Well, guess again. It's the one-wheel landings from the right to left now. Then he'll go into a dirty roll and touch down on one wheel. The aircraft you see flying before you is the North American Aviation P-51 Mustang. It's an American long-range single-seat fighter and fighter-bomber escort during World War II, the Korea War, and other conflicts. The Mustang was conceived, designed, and built by North American Aviation in response to a specification issued by the British Purchasing Commission. The prototype, NA-73X airframe, was rolled out on 9 September 1940, 102 days after the contract was signed, and with an engine installed, first flew on 26 October of that year. Mr. Hoover is also renowned for some of his flying quotes. Just a couple are, well, if you're faced with a forced landing, fly the thing as far into the crash as possible. And nothing said, I had to crash. Of course, that happened after hitting a telephone wire and losing 2 feet off the wing in his P-51. Now, ladies and gentlemen, he'll set up for the engine out energy management routine. He'll reach upwards of now 400 miles per hour in the dive, turn off his engine before going into a loop, perform a 16-point roll, and then turn 180 degrees to land on one wheel. Although not many flying today, during the war and after, 8,156 P-51Ds were ultimately built, while a total of 16,766 P-51 models together were built as a whole. That is a lot of P-51s. Ladies and gentlemen, from show left, you'll see the Tennessee Waltz performed once again as Ray brings in the Rockwell P-51 for his second gear down approach. As he fine-tunes the flight controls upon landing, ensure you get a good view of the precision he displays, just as Bob Hoover did originally those years ago.
Well, I certainly hope you all enjoyed the flight. And if you hear about the 51 and me planning a demonstration in your area, I sure hope you'll get out to see us. Thanks a lot for letting me show off this great little airplane. We've built many others, bigger and faster, and just as great. But I'm like you are. I've got a real soft spot in my heart for the good old Mustang. Thank you.
You just say the words and we'll beat the birds down to Acapulco Bay. It's perfect for a flying